feel like maybe in recent memory this is the best suited you've been to push a program like Nebraska at this point in the season?
Um, I people that know me, I have a really short memory on things like this, so it's hard for me to compare. I know that Nebraska is really talented. This is a very good Nebraska team. Especially from a defensive standpoint, their blocking is really impressive. And backcourt, we're going to have to, play some great volleyball. I do think we've continued to progress in each match. We've played a pretty rigorous non-conference schedule to prepare us. But we're looking forward to playing a top 5 program, and it should be good volleyball. I hope on both sides.
What kind of things do you have to do in the next 24 to 30 hours? That's not on that. To prepare yourself, or for the players to prepare themselves psychologically for the atmosphere they're going to have to execute in tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think we've got players that have played in a lot of big environments already. So not only this year, but in the past. So I don't know if it's anything, we'll talk about that it's going to be a loud environment. We talked about that with the Purdue match. Purdue had a really aggressive student section, so we discussed being prepared for people that are screaming you. Nebraska's probably not going to have that, but they're going to just be loud. I mean, when they get down, the crowd just gets loud. So we'll discuss being prepared for that. But I think, like most athletes, they relish it. If it's for them or against them, it's a pretty cool atmosphere. So we'll have some specific things that we're working on in the gym to prepare like we would against any team that we think, we need to do to be successful. But it's a really quick turnaround. We were off yesterday. We don't want to go real heavy today. So we'll, use our reps. I told the coaches their hitters get about 20 reps. So it's not a lot of reps right now. It's going to be just talking to them about things that we think we can do.
In the last 4 or 5 years, you've been able to push Nebraska to 5 sets. Do you think this is the best era for this matchup?
Again, I just kind of go into each match. It's a great team, and we want to go compete. We want to win. They want to win. I mean, that's what you do at this stage. And, again, I think a lot of other people remember the years prior. I would guess Coach Cook and I are just really focused on this year's group and trying to make our teams the best that we can be.
How important is, first contact in particular? I know it's always important, but when you're facing a team that can do all the things that aren't always showing up on the stat sheet very well and bring physicality at you if you're not serving tough or if you're not handling passes, like how important are those components of the game tomorrow night?
Yeah, I think first contacts will be huge, really for both teams. But yeah, from our standpoint, they're so physical in all positions. So if they're in system, it's a pretty difficult team to stop. And then they're a really good serving team. So we've got to be in system because their block is so formidable. If they know where we're going, we're going to have some problems. So there's no question that I think first contacts are huge. I will say, I think you know this from past, usually the top of our scouting report is first contacts against anyone are going to be key to success, but no different tomorrow night.
Anything else?
Kirsten, I know a potential win would mean obviously a big deal with being a cross-state rival, but how much are you emphasizing that this would be the second win against one of the better teams in the Big Ten, and how much would that mean for where this program is right now?
Well, I think right now it's all about our resume. So, we want to notch top 25 wins. We always, again, we talk about resume builders, resume killers. Well, this would be a builder. It's not, if we lose to Nebraska, it doesn't hurt our resume. What it does is catapults our resume. So we'll talk about that in that sense. We've talked about a couple teams that way already this fall of this has the potential to be a top 25 win. Or a loss that could bite us a little bit. I think Iowa State later this week has a potential to be a top 25 matchup. So, that's the kind of the way that we talk about those things. I think we don't have a ton of Nebraska kids on our team right now, but we do have some. And so and obviously everyone on our team respects what the Nebraska program is and the draw that they have. So there's energy because of that. Anytime you're playing in front of a big crowd, and especially for our local players, playing a lot of their friends, Nora Siss and Lindsay Krause are best friends, so there's dynamics there that are pretty cool and fun. But I truly I love the fact that we've got so many regional kids playing on the same court, and I think it really is, just a testament of how high quality of the volleyball is in this state.
Your thoughts on last week and volleyball day and all that? You've touched on it before, but seeing it and kind of.
Well, I didn't see it. I was at the Chicks.
It's been a week since that's happened.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't go, but what everyone said was that it was a really first-class event, and I think it is huge for not only women's volleyball but women's athletics to be able to. And I think in hindsight, they didn't need the concert. I think that's what they learned, is that the concert was an add-on. I'm sure when they were formulating the idea, they wanted to make sure that they could get 50, 60,000 people in there. Maybe the concert would help, when in fact, I think they sold out without knowledge of who was even playing. So, it's a testament to what the University of Nebraska has done in the sport of volleyball, but also how big volleyball is in the state and support of women's athletics in general.
What'd you get? What'd you get better at from last weekend to this past weekend? What do you think it was?
I think we're starting to find our identity a little bit. I think we have to play with more of an edge. And so that was big. And I know it might not seem like a big deal, but it kind of was a big deal in our locker room and the way that we were talking to each other and expectations for each other. So that was big. And then I still think our connection needs to get better. I mean, I was watching film yesterday and saying, we're doing some good things. We're tenacious. I think our first contacts at times are really good. But we still have a long way to go to be as clean as I think we need to be.
From an identity standpoint, you mentioned that's big. What is the ripple effect of figuring out your identity at any point in the season? Like, what changes about a team's dynamic once they know how they handle situations together?
Well, I think, how you speak to each other, and this is a really close-knit group. So, just having a little bit more edge, not in a negative way, but in a competitive spirit sort of way. So I think those have been things that we've talked about. And I think I've led it in a way that maybe wasn't the best for this group. So, I talked to them about me being a little bit different on how we, what our demeanor is, what we're doing at timeouts, what we're doing between games. So, I mean, nothing that anyone else is going to see, but I think the feel is a little bit different on the court.
Ava's joy doesn't win game sentiment. Do you share that, or? Ava said that.
Anyway, I am a firm believer that joy is part of success. So yes, I think if you asked Ellie would say joy is part of it. But her point of winning is joy, I also agree, because losing is not fun. So I think anytime you're enjoying something, I mean, think of this in any career. If you like what you're doing, you're going to work harder and be better at it. And so we want to cultivate an environment at Creighton Volleyball that they love what they're doing, and they love it so much they want to work their tail off. They want to eat right. They want to sleep right. So that's what we're trying to cultivate. But sometimes those things are hard, right? And so it's not always joyful in the moment. So the winning is the byproduct of doing those things.
Your anticipation level for tomorrow, knowing that, you're on the cusp of top 15, they're top 5. Mm-hmm. The Vandy Center is legendary.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind?
I was just at weights with Ava, and she's like, I just can't stop smiling. And I think that kind of speaks for all of us. We are just so excited. I think I'm the only one on our team who's actually played in Vandy in college. And the atmosphere is incredible. And so, I mean, there's a lot of red in there, but it's still just so fun to play off the crowd and how energetic and how loud they are. And so we are just super excited.
You're not from Nebraska, but kind of over your years and playing Nebraska, how has this kind of turned into a rivalry, or you kind of feel that in-state rivalry?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Nebraska loves volleyball, and you can feel that. I mean, just in the club all the way up to our level. And so, I mean, playing another Nebraska school there's definitely an in-state rivalry going on, and we've played them, I think, every year except for when our COVID season. And so we're excited, definitely.
You only had one hostile environment against you so far this year. What do you think you, the team, everyone learned about how to just focus on volleyball in a situation like that?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely we want to control our side no matter what the crowd is doing. But also even though the crowd is cheering against us, I mean, when we were in Purdue, we're this is fun, this is cool. And so it's even if they are technically cheering when the other team gets points, it's still fun to use that energy and bring it onto our side of the court and use it to keep building our momentum too.
Coach was talking about how you guys have really kind of started to find your identity and a little bit more edge, and kind of what's gone into finding that, and what would you define it as?
Yeah. We kind of talked about we thought in the Purdue game we played very clean and as a team we're really together, and we were talking about how focused we felt, and just kind of we were not like in some years, like we've really focused on like playing really loose and like playing, we still want to play with joy, but like very, very joyful. And we feel like this year, like when we play with like a little bit of like an edge, like we're still trying to find like the right word to like fully like encapsulate what we're talking about, but like we just like want to go after it. Like we want to like compete, like we want to treat every point like it's game point and just really go for it all the time. And we're kind of finding like that's what's fun to us and like that's how we compete best. So yeah.
What do you think changes about the dynamic of your play after a team figures out that sweet spot of
Yeah.
you know, how to talk to each other in a huddle, how to get everyone focused, how to
Yeah.
lock in?
I mean, I think that's like definitely it. Like we just know like how we're all going to respond. Like we know how to talk to each other. Like we don't need like the nice fluffy words. Like we just want to like get to the point, like figure out what we have to do to win. I think Coach Booth has talked about like she's going to use that too. Like when she comes in the huddles, like she's definitely not a yeller as a coach, and she's like, I'm not going to change that, but like she'll be like intense with us when we need it. And so I think it really is just all about like figuring out how we can get focused really fast, and like how to like really interact and respond to each other, and like especially in tight situations.